I'm thrilled to have you with us as we dive into exciting topic. How can you slash AI compute cost without sacrificing performance? To help us unpack this, we've brought together a panel of brilliant minds who bring deep expertise and real-world insight. So let's get to know our panel of experts. Starting with the CRO slash COO at HBAR Solutions, Adam Dean.
Hey folks, my name's Adam Dean. I'm the CRO CMO of HBAR Solutions. I'm based out of Huntington Beach, and really look forward to working with you all in the future. So thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Woohoo! Up next, we're joined by Bob Facina, the Senior Vice President of Sales at HBAR Solution.
Hi there, everyone. Looking forward to working with you today. Bob Facina. I live on the East Coast in Norwalk, Connecticut, New York metro area, and looking forward to working with everyone today. Thank you.
Perfect. Our next speaker is Steven Gripsover. Here, he's the AI Product Manager at IBM.
Hey everyone, yeah, Steven here. I'm the outbound product manager for AI on the Power Platform, and I'm currently in Columbus, Ohio. And yeah, really excited to show you some of the latest we have for the platform and AI running on it. Thanks.
Yay! And last but certainly not the least, brand sales, SME, and field enablement at IBM, Joe Cosenza.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Cosenza. I am a What's Next America's go-to-market leader for Client Zero. And I'll tell you all about it when my turn's up. So
Let's begin by exploring our first data set, which reflects insights from 100 plus, business technology decision makers on their biggest challenges within their current AI workloads. So as you can see, 21% of them stated is scalability and infrastructure. 20% of them stated data security and leakage risk, followed by 7% who stated keeping up with AI governance slash regulations. And the graph on the screen highlights the rest of the information. Let's hear what Adam has to say about these findings. And Adam, what are the unknown challenges with AI workloads that are often overlooked?
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Ella. Yeah, a couple of the challenges with AI workloads that are consistently overlooked is it actually shows it here on the top one, scalability and infrastructure. Where's that AI workload going to live? And what's it actually going to take to execute that AI workload? I can let Joe and Stephen talk a little bit about that, a little more in depth on that too. Joe and Stephen, if you'd like to chime in real quick.
Yeah, happy to speak a bit on this. Yeah, so we absolutely see these, and I'll dig deeper in some of the slides and topics that I have later on. But these are the exact challenges that we see with AI workloads. We also frequently see a lot of the folks that are experts in data science, data, and AI tend to know very little about infrastructure, and vice versa, right? So this continues to come up, and is exactly what we're working to address with the Power Platform at IBM.
Great. Anything else that you'd like to add, gentlemen? Uh-oh, did I lose?
Nope, I think we're good for now.
All
But
right,
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
I think we'll
I was
be
like,
digging into this a little bit further during the session.
all right,
yeah.
perfect. Thank you very much for that. Well, let's look at the next slide. So now that we've explored some challenges, let's turn our attention to the goals. We ask the same group of business decision maker, business technology decision maker to share their top goals for AI workloads in the next 12 months. And here's what the data reveals. So 27% of them is stated automation and workflow optimizations, sorry, followed by 12% who stated better decision making and forecasting. 9% stated improve efficiency and team productivity. The graph on display breaks down the rest of the data for you. So, Adam, Does this align to what you're seeing out there? And how can organizations prioritize their goals for AI workloads to achieve maximum efficiency and cost savings?
Absolutely. It definitely aligns to everything we're seeing. Automation and workflow are kind of the top conversations that we're having with our customers. And then there's some great ways to actually prioritize your goals towards the end of the presentation. We'll kind of walk through some workshops that we actually offer. But the biggest thing that you have to have when you're taking on an AI project is that alignment with your internal teams between IT and the business, because you want to understand the business priorities and then make sure the
Mhm.
IT infrastructure aligns to it. And that's what we're great at helping customers with.
All right, thank you so much for that, Adam. Now, let's move on to our final data set, and then we're gonna move on to our highlight of this session. We ask 34 business technology decision makers where they are in their AI adoption journey. And here's what we've uncovered. 11% of them stated that they are on identifying AI use cases and opportunities. Another 11% of them stated scaling AI across business function. 5% stated collecting and preparing data for AI integration, and additional insights are available in the graph currently shown. Now, Adam, what can you say about these data set? And is there a right way to start AI adoption?
Yeah, so this definitely have heavily aligns to the conversations that we've been having with our customers. There are a ton of customers out there that are trying to identify the use cases and opportunities,
Mhm.
and the right way to do it is again having that organizational alignment, and then deciding on the specific use cases. I know Bob's got some awesome use cases coming up for different markets, and I know Joe and Steve are going to walk through some in just a moment. But it's really just having that alignment and then understanding how to execute on it. And Joe and Stephen or Bob, if you guys have anything to add to that too, that'd be great.
Yeah, I could definitely add to that a little bit, right? At the very beginning, you need to assess your current AI maturity level, where you're at, where you want to go, what your goals are, et cetera. And part of the whole process is really identifying that high impact, low cost use cases. Because you want to do that crawl, walk, run. And you don't want to over rotate, you don't want to over invest, but you need to invest because your competitors are. So it's striking that balance and really assessing where you are today, what the corporate goals and objectives are, aligning that to your IT needs, and then it just comes down to that math equation of identifying time, money, and resources to figure out what your high impact, low cost use cases are to get started.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, now are we ready to see the highlight of this event or this session? Let's have one of our panel share their screen to see what we have on in terms of the use cases. Are we ready for that, Adam?
Absolutely. So Bob, if you want to bring up
Okay.
your slides, I'll get us kicked off here.
All right. What are you seeing?
Yep, I'm seeing the slides. Everybody else see them? Just want to check real quick.
Yes.
Go. So, hey everybody, I want to say thank you so much for your time. My name's Adam Dean. Bob Facina here is also with HBAR Solutions. We're going to talk to you about how we can slash AI compute costs and be able to scale those AI workloads across your infrastructure. So a little bit about HBAR. So everybody's always heard that great quote, "The only constant in life is change." And we all know IT disruption is everywhere right now. But here at HBAR, we are your constant in the ever-changing landscape of technology. We have expertise across multiple disciplines, as you can see here. Today's focus is going to be around the data and AI and how we can help guide you through the disruption in the market right now and really deploy AI and make your company fly, basically, is a way to say it. Um, yeah. And then I'm going to hand it off to Bob. Bob, you want to walk us through some awesome, well, real quick, Bob's going to walk us through some awesome use cases. Steven's going to show us how you can deploy AI on IBM Power and get a massive cost savings. And then Joe's going to walk through the Watson portfolio and some use cases to show where we can get started. And then Bob's going to close this out with a call to action and a workshop that we're offering everybody that shows up today. So, Bob, you want to kick us off?
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today. Today, we're tackling a key challenge, and that is how do you slash AI costs without sacrificing performance? And the answer really lies in aligning the right AI use case to your vertical's goal and challenges. Okay, so for example, in manufacturing, retail, finance, enterprise search is one of those use cases that simplifies knowledge access, makes it 40% faster to resolve issues while improving your forecasting. And you could see here you have the top goals, the challenges that are addressed here, and your typical outcomes. So that's kind of how you get started with the manufacturing, retail, and finance types of industries in those particular verticals. Now, if you jump over the finance or in legal and healthcare, trying to lead with that intelligent document processing because that IDP that automates the document heavy workloads and workflows like loans and claims and legal reviews. You try to reduce your processing time by up to 60% while ensuring compliance, because compliance is obviously something that's very important and near and dear to everyone's heart. So those are some of the key items that you need to take care of, whether it's HIPAA, SOX, GDPR, and all that other fun stuff. So, and then when you start looking at the tech industry, biotech, fintech, Expert Assist is kind of like your AI co-pilot. It helps you automate approvals, do risk analysis, decision support, and helps try to slash the admin time by 50% or so. And obviously, your mileage will vary with some of these percentages that I'm throwing out there, but it's all about directionally improving your time and improving your forecast. Now, each solution can address your top AI goals. There's automation, there's workflow optimization, better decision making while overcoming the key challenges such as data security and scalability. So together, these AI solutions are just scratching the surface of the way you can transform the way you work, the way you work, live, and play, for example, you cut costs and drive smarter growth. And so what you can do is you can take a few moments to tailor some of these strategies into your specific industry needs. So let me talk a little bit about some of the myths and fears that people have around AI. Okay, data privacy is one of them. That's handled by encryption. You got role-based access control, and you got federated learning options. Those are all there for you. From a compliance exposure perspective, the solutions are designed for these regulated industries. And a lot of times people think, oh, I need to build my own model. Well, most of the value today comes from the inferencing, that pre-trained model that's out there. You're not training from scratch, okay? And another myth or fear is that AI is too expensive. Well, what do you want to do? You want to optimize for utilization, automation, and burst control. You do that to contain costs. So it could be cloud-based or pay-per-use type of scenarios to make AI accessible to small and medium businesses or large scales enterprise alike. So on-prem, cloud, pay-per-use, all these types of scenarios are ways in which you could achieve that. Knowing where your data is and moving devices to those edges because you can't move the data easily. Those are nice ways to be able to handle that. So that lightweight inferencing with edge devices, CPUs, or low-cost GPUs. You don't have to go crazy buying all the most expensive GPUs out there. The other thing that people are concerned with is that AI can be too complex to deploy. A lot of these tools are pre-built. Expert Assist, IDP that we talked about moments ago, those are pretty easy to integrate into the existing systems. So the one thing that you do need to do from day one is that you need to prioritize governance. All right. And when you do that, that includes your security, your compliance, your transparency. You got to do all that from the beginning. You need to audit early. Don't audit after the deployment. You need to audit during the deployment as well as after the deployment because you got to make sure everything is coming together effectively. You want to establish explainability standards, and this is especially for those regulated industries. And you also want to classify your workloads, and that risk level. Low equals full automation. High means that there's a human in the loop. So those are the types of things that we would discuss as we would work together to determine what your journey is with AI. And really, you start small, you scale with what works, and you automate with what repeats. And that's kind of the process that you take, and you just kind of cycle through it that way. So what I did is I took an opportunity here to try and put some things together that cut across multiple industries, not just the ones that we talked about in these use cases, but here's some key insights, right? So, inferencing does provide a bulk of the business value across the industries. Training is important, but it happens periodically. You're not doing the training all the time. It's often offline, and it's usually offline, and it's often centralized. So those are some key insights there. And inferencing that is continuous. It's available on the edge. It's tied directly to the operations. And those operations ties to the decisions and your revenue, driving your revenue, increasing your margins, et cetera. So some of the common problems when you look at it in manufacturing, you got predictive maintenance where you're identifying machine failures before they happen, supply chain forecasting and optimization, quality control using computer vision, for example, defect detection on assembly lines, inventory and logistics optimization. Those are some key common problems and challenges you have with manufacturing. On the finance side, that kind of goes to fraud detection, real-time transaction and monitoring, risk modeling, credit score, portfolio risk, customer insights and personalization. You want to make that person feel special, right? And that's really what people buy from people still, even though you have all this automation that's out there. You got regulatory compliance, AML, KYC, and a whole bunch of other ones that we go on all day mentioning the new compliance du jour that we got to deal with. Okay, algorithmic trading and forecasting, all those are pieces of financial services. And thinking about training and inferencing there, um, once again, manufacturing financial services, that's done occasionally to improve the vision models, those forecasting algorithms, the fraud detection or credit risk. Inferencing, once again, dominates the day-to-day value, real-time detection of product defects, anomaly detection in sensor or data, okay, and fraud scoring, loan approvals, and personalized offers. So, and the last thing I'm going to cover here before I turn it over is, value is mostly from inferencing, especially at the edge or high volume and real-time environments. But just popping over into healthcare and health and life sciences, the common issues there typically are medical imaging analysis, tumor detection, X-rays, MRIs, drug discovery, molecular simulation. That's kind of where you're getting a little bit of a blend of some of the training. Okay, patient risk prediction, diagnosis assistance. So that's where that more balanced risk, but inference is still most of that day-to-day operational value. So with that, the training is critical for some of those long cycle R&D, building new diagnostic or drug models. That's where the training would come into play with the health and life sciences area. With that, I'll take a break, and up next is Stephen.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Everyone can see this, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, thanks for transitioning into me. Definitely agree on all counts for the use cases, the wide variety of them, and I'll go over some of those that we see running specifically on the IBM Power Platform and how the platform is an excellent fit for AI and especially AI inferencing, where the value really comes in. So My agenda, we're gonna just do a quick breeze through some of the industry perspective and a couple of examples and demos if we can get around to it. But just know this is going to be the tip of the iceberg. We'd love to hear from each of you if this is interesting and headed in the right direction and move on to some next steps. But let's talk a bit about where we see AI transforming businesses. I always like to start with this slide. This comes from our IBM Institute of Business Value, and this shows top performing CEOs. They know 72% in the survey said that their competitive advantage rests in advanced generative AI. This across the board is what we're seeing and hearing from clients we work with, that AI is something that is going to be built into our mission critical business processes. So not just side projects, little demos here and there, but the key business outcomes are being driven by generative AI, and will continue to be driven. But that does come with some challenges. That first challenge is, how do you get from a POC of a first version to actually getting into production? The data we have shows that nearly every enterprise is doing experiments with generative AI, 98%, but a much smaller portion of those have made it into production and working with actual real data and that mission critical set of context to get the business value. 26% is it. We know though that the businesses making that step and making the move have achieved a lot better outcomes. They're getting greater revenue growth. They're getting shareholder returns and return on their invested capital. And we know that this trend isn't going anywhere, right? By 2027, this is going to continue to be something that brings value, and not just new business, new insights, but also cost reduction and revenue growth. That their competitors aren't going to have access to because they don't have those generative AI workflows built into their business processes and use cases. I'm talking a lot about use cases, and we'll go over some of the specifics in a later slide, but these vary widely depending on the industry, and I'm excited to show some of the examples we've already started with IBM Power. Here are three clients that I think are particularly interesting examples. And as you can see, there's a wide variety of industries here. We have a logistics provider, a financial services provider, a bank in EMEA, and a utility service provider in APAC. And you can see each of them are getting results with their generative AI use cases. I want to be clear too, this is running on Power today. This inferencing is active and running out in the real world. One I'll dig a little deeper into for this slide is our logistics service provider. They had an excellent use case where they were running an ERP system on IBM Power and were manually taking in requests from potential clients on running their business, their logistics business. This process was a bit time consuming. They were averaging around 4 inquiries being processed per hour. And after working with us and integrating AI into their system, they've been able to increase their efficiency by 15x. And they're getting through 72 inquiries in that same amount of time in that same hour, freeing up that team to actually work with these potential clients and build the business out, not be focused on loading things into the ERP system manually. So that was a great win and a great example of massive business outcomes that can come from incorporating AI with the mission critical data and systems that our clients are using. So going back into the downer content, I would say we do see some key barriers that stop our clients from getting from POCs and those proof of concepts into production. And the five top barriers you'll see here, they come in skills, data complexity, AI integration complexity, and then your classic issues with cost and privacy. For skills, that's what I set up at the top. We see an issue where we have skilled infrastructure teams who aren't familiar with what it takes to do data and AI work in science and engineering. And at the same time, we also see teams with excellent depth in data and AI, but they don't understand how infrastructure works. So that's addressed through some of our additions here at the IBM Power Platform. Data complexity also. If you don't know how your data is structured, where it's located, and how to incorporate it, the insights you can get from AI are significantly less valuable. So we're working to address those data complexity issues. Third is these core business processes can't be interrupted. How do you incorporate AI into your key business areas without reducing the capacity for them to meet their business goals and have downtime in the middle? So how do we need to redesign the whole thing? Can we incorporate it easily? That's something we're purpose built and fit for purpose at IBM Power to fix and help you with. Cost, of course, is a major factor in implementing any of these things, and we find that on IBM Power, when you run inferencing on the platform, you're getting good results, good outcomes, while reducing the need for your GPUs and your cloud costs that you would see from other platforms, where that you're inferencing on a GPU, so your costs are high, your energy usage is high, so you have to deal with cooling, all of those. We work with really well on the IBM Power platform. And then finally, privacy and security. This is a story where we're used to hearing for the Power platform. Your data on the platform is encrypted at rest, encrypted in motion, so you're sure that you'll be compliant to any industries you're working in, whether that's healthcare and HIPAA needs, PII, or in the finance sector and some of those geos across the world that have GDPR and similar. So these are our key barriers that we see clients pause their work in. They try something in a cloud provider. They say this is interesting, but I don't want to use this in my real business because of my data is not in the right place. My it'd be too complex to integrate. So that's what AI is all about on IBM Power. We have an AI optimized portfolio of capabilities and products that accelerate this impact into the core workflows to drive business transformation to make this a reality. And we call these our AI pillars, these four key focus areas. So we have AI ready infrastructure, and that comes in our Power chip itself as well, the Power platform itself, as well as our on-chip accelerator. We have the MMA. And coming a bit later this year with the launch of Power 11, we'll also have a Spire off-chip accelerator that we're really excited to show how it can improve generative AI use cases explicitly, right, with increased memory, bandwidth, and overall performance. We have an optimized ecosystem stack as well. So these applications that businesses need, your SAPs, Oracles, all of those run on the platform, as well as software from IBM and Red Hat, and special tested open source software that we know is needed to get these applications into production and to be run smoothly and address some of those skill issues that we sometimes see with teams who are unfamiliar with using these tools. In addition, we're coming up with some data fabric solutions. In the second half of this year, we'll show watsonx.data running on IBM Power. We have an SOD out for that, a statement of direction. And alongside that, we'll be bringing to market some data intelligence and data security tools so that end to end, clients can use their most important data securely and safely and see the outcomes that they need with their generative AI built into their processes. This fourth one is an interesting one, and it's very future focused. It's assistants and agents. Today, we are working on a code assistant to help modernize businesses' platforms for Watson Code Assist for IBM I. And that platform is really exciting for our clients and those folks with RPG code bases, where over time the workforces have become to know RPG less, and skills need to be added in there, and we need additional context for our workforce. And so that's coming to market soon. We have a lot of excitement around that, and hope that that meets the needs for a lot of our folks using older systems and working with RPG. So what we hope to enable with our AI story on IBM Power is three key things: transform enterprise processes with seamless AI integration, boost productivity with AI agents and assistants, and optimize your data management with data fabric and platforms. So that way, all on the IBM Power platform, you can take your mission critical applications, put AI into them, and use the latest innovations for generative AI and get the best business outcomes available on the market on an on-prem secure solution end to end. Now, we were talking use cases, and this is where I like to show this set of cross-industry use cases that we've been able to test and verify work great on our platform. And this is just a subset, but as you can see, cross-industry, we see code assistants and chat ops, service desk assistants. We have knowledge assistants like being able to have IT teams quickly get information from their red books, as an example. We have product assistance and order processing, like the industry example on a previous slide. And when you get into specific industries, we see some especially cool use cases that have produced incredible business value, like a medical assistant example where we helped a hospital in Thailand create a tumor searching algorithm and process that can more efficiently find tumors in that hospital's set of patients and continuously monitor for that. And in finance and banking, we've had examples of analyst assistance for fraud cases in particular, where you can go in natural language to SQL and find the potentially fraudulent cases happening within a bank. So again, this is a subset. This is what we're building when it comes to AI use cases on Power. And if any of these are interesting and or seem to be a good fit at your business, let us know. Let's talk about how we can make this a fit for your business and go to the next level. I like to show this video in particular. This is a real application running on IBM Power. We have a 210-page red book, and these red books incredibly valuable. They're incredibly valuable, but they're dense. A lot of text, a lot of information. And when you have a mission critical outage, you need to get the insights quickly. You need to find the info you need fast. And so this example shows a RAG system, retrieval augmented generation, running on the IBM Power platform, pulling in data from this red book and answering incredibly quickly exactly where you can find the information that you need from this red book. And not only with that information, but also the specific part of the document where it was found. So that way you're getting the information you need significantly faster, and you know that this answer is not going to be hallucinated, and your LLM is going to be giving you the actual information you need and not wasting your time versus getting to just find incorrect information, which you could see in an untrained LLM. So I'll go ahead and skip ahead in the interest of time let's go to this one. I wanted to show here this slide, some of what's coming in 2025. So this is just a portion of the story that we're continuing to build, but over the next 6 months or so, we'll see the Power 11 launch coming up very, very soon, along with a Spire accelerator for our generative AI use cases and a whole variety of software and infrastructure to support this platform to take generative AI use cases to the next level. We're really, really excited to tell this story end to end, from getting your data in the way it needs to be all the way through to the most powerful platform you can have for high performance computing for AI and other use cases. So with that, if there aren't any questions, I'd like to pass it off to our next speaker and continue on from there. Thank you all very much. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. And thanks again.
All right. So hi, I'm Joe Cosenza. I'm on the Client Zero go-to-market team for watsonx Americas. I'd like to share with you all today kind of how we ourselves, IBM, became the most valuable proof point for enterprise AI. And it's not just by theory, it's by us using our own technology internally to drive $3.5 billion in productivity savings. And so we kind of saw some similar charts like this, right? And I think there was a question kind of to the audience of kind of where they see themselves with their AI adoption. And there's usually a large amount of organizations here on the far left side, which is where they're exploring with Gen AI and just performing like typical use cases like RAG or just doing some any kind of experimentation with, Gen AI itself, right? Summarization, things that don't really grab the true value of AI. And so as you go to the right of this chart, this is where we also bring in some automation, code development, digital labor, and then we come all the way down to agents, right? So this is where we found that most of your value is actually going to lie. And there's this tipping point that we've seen where you start breaching into IT automation is where you start really unlocking the true value of Gen AI. And so IBM, what we've done is we've kind of accelerated this type of motion based on our frameworks here, right? So first of which, it's leading as client zero, right? And so this is kind of how we drink our own champagne, is what we call it, right? By leveraging our own Gen AI solutions in multiple different domains, such as HR, IT, um, our IT operations, really kind of everywhere we could see there was, an ability to provide AI to improve those different automations there. And so next kind of like our mantra that we live by is ESA, right? So eliminate, simplify, and automate. And so like we're 115 years old here at IBM. So we built up like plenty of technical debt. And we kind of started asking, what can we just stop doing? And if it's something that adds no value, we got rid of it. And finally, once we did that, right, we every dollar of those savings feeds right back into our talent, our research, and kind of like our strategic investments that we want to perform. So we have a whole finance use case. We're actually doing AI guided forecasting, which helps accelerate this even further. And so the path to this, right, these are the different domains that we have sort of horizontally across the enterprise that we've implemented AI, right? So we have enterprise performance management, which is where some of that forecasting comes from those different financial dashboards. We have IT, and specifically it's called Ask IT at IBM, where we have over $1 million of annual savings from different support case summarization, and we're increasing that even more with different things like having the ability to open a ticket from a single pane of glass, right? And kind of eliminating our entire help desk area. We are able to satisfy really all of our help desk calls by implementing this chat interface for our IT systems. And so that also expands kind of beyond the veil of just IT itself and into our IT operations. So we have our service admins actually able to provide their administrative roles a lot better from the other side of IT, and actually being able to do some of this asset management, inventory management, and user management. And then, of course, our flagship, right? We have HR, which is our Ask HR platform, where we have all of our managers, all of our employees using to answer those typical policy questions, or we perform transactions like employment verification letters or transferring employees. So this was sort of made possible by our execution framework. And we started from top down. So our CEO and our senior vice presidents kind of set a single unmissable mission, right? And that was to make IBM the most productive company in the world. So that clarity really helped shape every memo, every all hands, and every quarterly target that we had. So next, we mobilized the entire workforce as productivity catalysts. So what we wanted to do was hit that $3.5 billion in savings, and that meant that every IBMer had to really kind of look at their daily work and say, can I eliminate it? Can I simplify it? Can I automate it? And so that sort of had to be a collective mindset that sit at our, from a management perspective, at the transformation project office. And that, leveraging those cross-functional teams, they were charged with turning that strategy into execution across IT, HR, procurement, finance, really everywhere that we had. And so here on this slide, what we wanted to kind of show is that we had these sort of four pillars to this framework here, right? So we want to focus with first on the data, right? So at IBM, we say the data journey is a marathon, right? Made up of a bunch of short sprints. So you don't wait for it to be perfect. You expose a useful slice of data, apply the AI, capture the value, and then you widen that scope and then repeat, right? So that's kind of like your where to start. So next we have is workflows. And to think of this in like the HR world, right? This is like multiple portals, multiple logins, endless clicks to now do some kind of simple transaction. So what we've done was we simplified that into a single chat format where you can either look up a policy or perform those transactions like moving somebody between managers within a simple agentic platform. And then our third pillar is technology. right? So we have more than 100 Watson X AI applications in production, and you'll hear the technical deep dive here in a little bit. So I'll move on to that in a minute. And then next is our fourth pillar, which is people. So great AI still needs great humans using it. And that's because we ran a company-wide challenge. And with that, we had over 200,000 employees actually use our AI functions. And with this challenge, right, they were challenged to actually find those different automations in areas that could really see this growth. And it's actually where our Ask Sales platform comes from, which is um, a seller sort of AI agent to help them with their productivity. We actually have a demo I can show you as well. And then the final thing I want to mention on this chart, right, is governance. So AI governance and those principles have to lay across all of these pillars. And this is how we make that ethical AI to scale. So here we have like for our measuring business value, right? I kind of went over this a little bit, right? We have that centralized tracking for that area. We do that quarterly review and those aligned value definitions that were kind of streamlined all across, right? But these are the different benefits that we have here on the right. So we have a pre-tax income, which is sort of that revenue as a result of the implementation of those different automations, right? It's not just RAG, it's not just summarization, right? We're performing these transactions that used to take somewhere between 8 to 30 minutes, now in under a minute, right? We also have that cost avoidance kind of on the opposite end, right? So now we don't have to potentially hire as many folks or have most of our resources kind of focusing on that higher band work. Now we're spending less there. So a challenge that we found, especially at IBM, I'm sure many organizations are finding now, is that there's almost this AI and AI agent assistant like sprawl, right? So every company's coming in with their own AI solution, their own AI agent, and they're really good at their specific domains. But what we've done here at IBM is we've leveraged multi-agent orchestration, and this is what we're doing to really simplify it. What we want from multi-agent orchestration is to leverage the best of the best, right? So, like if you had a Salesforce, right, and they have their own agent, what we can do is now leverage that agent through a single multi-agent orchestration interface. And then next to that, you could leverage your Microsoft Copilot agent, right? And this is all going to be through that single pane of glass. So we're not actually augmenting those workflows you already have instated. We're actually leveraging them for for growth there. And also, like part of our approach here was vertical domains, right? You heard me say like HR, finance, procurement. We're across all of these different domains here to find that acceleration. So the first one, we're just going to take a quick zoom into each of these. So HR help desk, this is our IBM Ask HR. And this is kind of where we're starting to build up to that $3.5 million in productivity here, right? So we have all of our, we have $11 million of, 11 million different interactions being performed in this Ask HR platform. And a cool story that we have is that we switched from a Workday infrastructure to SAP, and no one noticed because everybody's interaction with their HR platform is going to be through this chat interface that is watsonx orchestrated here. And so another kind of use case that we have is the Ask IT platform. And so this is kind of where you can go, like any employee can go to actually ask questions about what different outages are happening, if they can get help with their device setup, VPN troubleshooting issues, or even opening the ticket. And so what we saw with our IT desk, right, we had probably 90% of our tickets were really kind of low-hanging fruit, just that simple like policy that they needed out of our IT desk, right? So now instead of having a person actually answer that question for them, wasting time and wasting FTE, we now have our chat agent able to answer that question for them. So through that knowledge catalog that it has, it's able to answer. I think we found about 90% of those tickets being answered now automatically by the chat agent. And so with Ask IT, also what we kind of found was this acceleration framework from Ask HR, because Ask HR was a 7-year journey, whereas Ask IT only took 100 days to stand up based on the lessons that we learned from adopting our AI agent platform. So, and this is going to be part of our demo today, is going to be our Ask Sales platform, which helps sellers. So we're seeing a lot of that pre-tax income and basically a jump in revenue because our sellers are now more enabled in the market to really kind of just help sell and really help grow our IBM revenue. And then finally, right, we have Ask Procurement. So this is just kind of another use case where we're actually looking into the procurement space. We're looking into the supply chain space. And, we're trying to look for those different insights that they need on those different channels in order to really properly and, automate a lot of those different like use cases that we have in these spaces as well. Right. And so we're saving almost 26,000 hours per year by leveraging this platform for any of those different procurement needs that we have. So such as like invoice analysis, contract analysis. There's tons of different use cases there. And so here, I'm actually going to go off the script a little bit and show you a live demo very quickly of just what it looks like. So this is our Ask IBM platform, right? This is going to be our Nirvana state. It's a single chat window with multiple domains that you can access. So I'll start it off by asking, what holidays do I get off? And so when I ask it this question, right,
Hey, Joe,
it
I'm so
knows.
sorry to interrupt
Okay.
you. I can't see your screen. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me get him. Try to reshare again. Okay, does that look better?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so all I did here was I went to this chat interface, right, and I asked, what holidays do I get off? And what this is going to do is actually source based on my persona, my information, the different holidays that I get off, right? And so because I'm a US-based employee, it's going to show me the US holidays. And so this can talk to data that's either sitting in Workday, ServiceNow, SAP, really any endpoint that we want to invoke a tool for. And so with this, we can also jump into a whole different platform, so like IT. And we could say something like, my battery is not working in my laptop. And so now what we're doing is actually crossing domains and we're performing an IT function. And you can see here, now this switched over to IT. And so what this is actually going to perform is a telemetry on my laptop and actually check the battery life and see if I need to request a new laptop. And so these are just a couple sample use cases, but I really wanted to show this kind of live and in this like platform just to give you that cross-domain ability of multi-agent orchestration. There's tons more we can do. There's that retrieval augmented generation. There's more analysis we can perform with this data surfacing. We have tons of pre-built agents and tools that can really help you get accelerated into the space just to kind of build out what use cases that you need for your organization. So let me go back to PowerPoint here. And yeah, and just to kind of explain a little bit more deeply as to how we got to AI agents, right? So this is our continuum that starts with those chatbots. This is what kind of everyone started hating, right, about AI in general was these are some rule-based, deterministic kind of platforms that follow, follow a specific path that you have to develop, right? And that sort of matured into what are known as AI assistants with some automation there. This is them not just doing the RAG, doing some kind of preset flow, but this is actually applying some analysis to that data and perform that flow in a more automated fashion, like it's getting a lot smoother. But where we are now is into this AI-led framework here, which is our AI agent. So you can kind of think of this as like your digital laborer, right? And what they can do is use tools. And your AI agent knows when to use a hammer when he needs to use a hammer and knows when to use a wrench when he needs to use a wrench, right? That's what we call tools for these AI agents. So think of it as this completely, trainable individual that just knows how to use the tools that you're able to give them. And so kind of a little bit on that, right? An AI agent, what it makes it different from an AI assistant is that it has an ability to plan, act, and reflect. So they can actually teach themselves as they go along to generate more of that value, right? So as you train your agent, similar to training an LLM, it gets better at your enterprise, better at those use cases, more efficient. And it can actually reflect and see what other areas that it can really kind of make those, make those accelerators happen. And so this is kind of death by diagram here, but really what I want to say on this is that it's just made easy with watsonx Orchestrate. What we have are pre-built agents that you can leverage through watsonx Orchestrate that have all of those different use cases and business value. And I'll have that on the next slide, sort of an example of those. But essentially, this is your single pane of glass to really unlock Gen AI by using multi-agent orchestration. And so with that, right, we're able to leverage these things called tools, which is what you kind of see on the bottom there, right? Those are all of our integration points. IBM has over 5,000 pre-built tools ready to empower your AI agent that you use in order to perform those different use cases that you see in your organization. And so here's an example of a set of use cases with a pre-built agent, right? So kind of a similar framework where we have those different tools there at the bottom that it can leverage as an AI agent. But these different use cases across the top are, employee support, talent recruitment, and onboarding. So we have an agent basically for each of those that your organization can have from IBM, and we partner with you in order to leverage them and really accelerate that Gen AI automation. And so, yeah, just last thing to end on here is going to be our business value workshop that we do. So at IBM, we'd also like to partner with you and actually calculate what expected ROI would be from automating a particular business process, whether that be in HR, IT, procurement, finance, no matter what it is. It's typically a 30-minute meeting. What we can leave with is saying, hey, if you're able to actually perform these different automations, we're able to reduce that cost and see that value on that investment.
Gentlemen, this session is a game changer, for anyone understanding how to reduce AI compute cost without compromising performance. Isn't that just smart? So it's actually a competitive edge. So I'm just a little bit curious. How do you ensure cost optimization doesn't compromise model fairness, transparency or ethical standards?
Um, I know that Joe and Stephen can talk to this a little bit more, but a
Mhm.
lot of it is making sure that you have a very secure and clean data set to be able to create the model and to be able to train it more, and ensure that you're running on very good infrastructure with security. So Joe, Stephen, if you want to jump in a little bit more on that one.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So our data is sort of one thing, but here at IBM, what we've done was we've had sort of an AI ethics board. We feel like a
Mhm.
lot of organizations are sort of adopting that in order to really promote those ways that they can keep their AI in ethical fashion, right? Those guardrails, those different sort of channels in order to make sure that they're not, hallucinating on some crazy things, right? Because a lot of people when you see AI, it's like, oh, where are they actually getting this information from? Where are they getting this data? So the governance is just there to really to provide a method to control that. And in a way that your organization can actually sort of represent and be able to audit for. So same thing with like if you have compliance things, right? They're going to ask, okay, how are you actually governing this, right? And so you to be able to have that information available to you as well.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Joe. Mhm.
I was just going to say, I completely agree with that. I also think for a governance and safety decision, a lot of this comes from how you build your process from the ground up. And so we have some awesome products at IBM like watsonx.governance that can help meet the needs for some of this set of decisions. But it's also, yeah, it's all about the data, like Adam said, and it's something we care about really deeply, I think, at IBM.
Perfect. Well, very well said. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for answering that curious question of mine.